Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome back. We are at the Uzakrota Global Summit, which this year again has been online and not live. And we're really sorry about that because we were all hoping that we can meet again in Istanbul here. And I can tell you, I'm in Istanbul right now, and it's great weather outside, and it would have been a great summit, but we just had to do it online again this year due to known reasons. So we really hope that everybody's going to be back next year at the same place at the same time here in Istanbul and having fun. And I particularly wish that for our foreign visitors. And if I look at the panel that we have here now, ahead of us, it's our guests from abroad that make all the differences to Uzakrota. And I hope that everybody can hear me well right now, because I see a comment that the tone is not very good. I hope that we are all right. And if not, then our technical colleagues will try to fix that during the session. And as I said, usually at Uzakrota in Istanbul, we have a lot of foreign visitors, and they all love coming here, and it's a great destination. And for certainly, Istanbul is on the agenda of a lot of travelers. But when we think on the other way, when we think of all the information providers to travelers, to the guides, the websites, and when we ask ourselves, what is the traveler expecting? Has the target traveler changed? How do you reach now the people that you're trying to work with? And to talk about that, we have a very distinguished group of people. We have our panel moderator, Mr. David Mannix from Arcadia Expeditions. David, are you with us? Can we see you?
Yes, hi, Alex. How are you, Alex?
Excellent. I'm very well. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Judging the little accent, I think you are in England.
Well, no, I'm actually in Sydney, Australia, where I'm originally from. So I'm on the other side of the world to you.
Oh my God! For that we just have a very good line right now, because I can hear you.
It's not bad.
As if you would be in the next door. Great, David. Let me bring in your speakers, and then we can move on. We have Rene Frey from Rough Guides, Veitch from Wego, Adam Armstrong from Contiki Holidays, and Hans Lagerweij from Albatros Travel, and they're going to be all zooming in right now here as we talk. So very interesting. David, you're far away from here. Has the new variant reached you? I mean, is there anything of what we're experiencing right now here in Europe? Is there anything coming to Australia?
Yeah, we've already had a few cases come in, and the Australian government here has been very cautious. We really have been stuck in prison here for almost 2 years now, and the border's only just opened. So all of us in the travel industry are nervous again about what this is going to do to consumer confidence and what the government will do. So there's certainly a lot of uncertainty down here, and hopefully, a week from now we'll know more about what's going to happen.
Good. Well, let's hope for the best, and let's hope that that will not turn the other way around. There is still reason to be optimistic, in particularly when we see how many people try to solve all of these issues and how many people work together. And you guys always have to predict what the traveler wants, what we as a traveler want, and how to reach us. So I looked at some of the platforms and websites that our guests are from. I have to admit, I have a crush on the Rough Guide, and I hope Rene is with us. Can we bring in our panelists? I think that would be good. Otherwise, David and I would be very alone. There we go. Oh, everybody's there. Great. So our guests are from. I have to admit, I have a crush on the Rough Guide, and I hope Rene is with us. Can we bring in our panelists? I think that would be good. Otherwise, David and I would be very alone. There we go. Oh, everybody's there. Great. So I have to admit, I have a crush on the Rough Guide, and I hope. I think we have a tone problem. If maybe our technical friends can just mute for a second, and we can sort. That would be good. Otherwise, David and I would be very alone. Okay. I'm not sure where the problem is. It's somewhere here between here and Sydney, because what happened now is I could hear myself what I was telling you, and it didn't sound good. So maybe, I don't know. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, then it seems we're all in right now. We have no echo problem. You cannot You can hear everything very well? Okay, good. If there is something, please flag and we'll try to sort it out. This is live and anything can happen when we go live. So without further ado, as I think Rene got the compliment even a couple of times through the echo, I'm a big fan of the rough guide. I don't know the other side so well. So I know Wego, of course, that's from Singapore, but the rest are hellishly interesting sites, and I'm sure you have a lot of things to tell to us. So please, David, why don't you introduce your panelists to us?
Thanks very much, Alex, and it's great to be here today. We have a very international panel of esteemed gentlemen, so I'm looking forward to chat with you today. So as Alex mentioned, the topic today is about our target traveller and how they've changed and how do we reach them now. So certainly I think the expectations of the travellers have changed, their needs and wants have changed, and in fact the way they want to travel as a whole I think has changed, and that's sort of what we want to explore today. Just to introduce myself quickly, as I mentioned, I'm here in Sydney, and I'm the co-founder and managing director of Arcadia Expeditions. So we're a small group expedition-style company that specialises in immersive storytelling. So it's a sort of documentary without the film crew type of experiences in remote countries around the world. So just like everybody, we've felt the pain over the last couple of years, but certainly it's great to see that things are coming back now. So I've got some questions for all of you. And we're going to actually start with Hans from Albatros Travel. So welcome, Hans. I think you're on mute there, Hans. We can't hear you. Hans, we still can't hear you there. Rene, can you hear me? Because we can move to you, Rene. No, you're on. We can't hear you either. No, Rene, you seem to be on mute as well. What about you, Adam?
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, Adam, you're the only one I can hear at the moment. So,
all right.
So let's go to you. So Adam's the CEO of Contiki Holidays, a very well-known brand. So a couple of questions for you, Adam. So the tourism industry has been hit hard by COVID and forcing travel companies to cut programs and scale back. But it's also provided tour operators like Contiki with an opportunity to rethink their strategies and investments. Can you share with us how Contiki is approaching this brave new world that we're in?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for the invite. Nice to see you in Sydney, David. I used to live in Sydney for 16 years, and I moved to Geneva here in Switzerland about a year ago, right in the middle of the pandemic. So a bit different from Sydney, but nice to be in Switzerland all the same. Yeah. So Contiki, for anyone who doesn't know us, we're a youth operator. So we operate in the 18 to 35-year-old space, group touring. And the downtime has certainly been a chance for us to reflect on our business. As we've been a bit quieter now, we haven't been completely quiet. Obviously, we've still been operating trips, and we've still been selling trips, and we've still been doing a lot of admin around processing suspensions and cancellations and all that good stuff. But as the saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. We've been using this quieter time, this lack of operations, to stand back, have a bit of a reflection, and have a look at what we think has been working, what perhaps hasn't been working, but more importantly, probably what does the post-pandemic customer want out of a holiday in our space, in that 18 to 35 group travel space. I don't think the customer has changed too significantly. The title of the session is "Your Target Traveller Has Changed." Well, they've changed a bit, and maybe I'll just give you a few examples of how I think they have changed. But overall, I think they're, for us, at least at our end of the spectrum, they're pretty similar. We're a group travel operator, and I would argue, one of the things that has perhaps changed post-pandemic is the desire to travel as a group. Having been isolated, and lived in virtual worlds, especially our demographic, the 18-35-year-olds spending a lot of time on computers, on online chat and social and so on. There is just this burning desire to get out and enjoy the company of others whilst on holiday. So I think for us, we're perhaps going to appeal to a slightly broader audience than we did previously. Two other things that come to mind are sustainability and flexibility. If you take flexibility for a minute, the customer now is, having gone through the pain of COVID, has now never been a better time for them to book a holiday in terms of the terms and conditions that are offered by operators. So, refunds, change fees, low deposits and all that good stuff. There has never been a better time as a consumer to buy a holiday. And I think that expectation will continue for a long time. The more relaxed terms and conditions, more flexible terms and conditions. The other one is sustainability. And, has there ever been a more, have you ever seen so much coverage in the media and in the general population about sustainability as in the last 18 months? And so, as it relates to travel, people are looking more for brands that have sustainability strategies and have more purpose. We launched our carbon neutral policy a couple of months back. We'll be carbon neutral from January the 1st next year. All of our trips will be carbon neutral, which is kind of expected for all of our guests. But the downtime afforded us some time to get on and think about how do we improve our sustainability credentials. How do we promote groups more as group travel as a great way to see the world? How do we deal with flexibility moving forward? So there's some of the things I think we've noticed a change in our customers. And then following on from that, how have we dealt with that? Two big areas I think we've looked at in terms of changing what we do is in product and in marketing. And I won't go on for too long, but just in summary for product, we've launched, like a lot of operators, we've launched a lot of new product. We've ended some, we've taken some product out that we don't think is relevant anymore, but we've also added a lot of new product, domestic product. I mean, we're an outbound operator. Principally, we don't sell domestically much in each of the markets, but we've started selling to the domestic market. But the principle remains the same: group travel for young people, but traveling in your own country. We've launched some shorter trips, more themed trips, mini adventures. We've launched more, or we've focused more on single country trips. With the complexity of crossing borders, the importance of just staying in one country, Greek island hopping, for example, or an Italy tour, rather than crossing borders, just staying in one place. Added more rail, added more different kinds of accommodation, all of that. So we're coming out of the pandemic now, hopefully, touch wood, with 70 plus new trips and hundreds of new hotels, experiences, and so on. So we're coming out with a much more refreshed product range. And then finally, I'll shut up in a minute. In terms of marketing, how do we then get that to our travelers? Really, a lot of that's driven by distribution in this new world, because we've lost, unfortunately, a lot of travel agents, which were the majority of our distribution, certainly. And without as many travel agents, without specifically youth-orientated travel agents, we have to have that conversation. We go out and find the traveler directly ourselves. And that just brings a whole different set of criteria for my team and budgets and so on. So we've done a rebranding exercise. We've spent a lot more on our website. We're spending a lot more talking about sustainability, a lot more about building community. And that's been a big focus for us during the downtime. Has been, you can't travel, but let's talk about travel. Let's dream about travel through our social media and so on. So as I said, never let a good crisis go to waste. We've done a lot of work, new product, refined our marketing. Customer hasn't changed too much, but I think Omicron notwithstanding, we're coming out of this in a very optimistic position.
Well, you sound very busy, Adam, you and your team, and it sounds like you've accomplished a lot in a short time. It's funny, isn't it, how you can look at a positive of this situation where we've actually had a lot of downtime, haven't we, to reflect on what we all do. And I think your ideas of looking at purpose and sustainability and creating, we all love creating. It's the nice part of the job, isn't it? And it's great to hear that Contiki is introducing a whole new raft of itineraries and destinations. That's fantastic. Adam, just a second question for you before I go on to Hans. So we're talking about experiential expectations, and you're in the 18 to 35 market. Are you finding that they're demanding your clients more of those sort of exclusive, unforgettable moments that are sort of self-enriching? Is that something that you're noticing with those Contiki clients?
Yeah, we are, David. What I would say is that there's a lot of buzz around authentic, off the beaten track experiences at the moment, but I think it's important to remember that our guests, and I proffer the older guests as well, the open age companies as well, people are looking for a mix. So they're still looking for the classics. They still want to see the Eiffel Tower, the Vegas Strip. They want the pictures at sunset in Santorini. They want all the the brochure front cover experiences, but then they also want that more deeper, more authentic, unexpected experiences as well. So our challenge is trying to create both and have a balance of the two. It's actually the latter ones, the more unexpected ones that often are the most enjoyed and the most memorable, and the most ones that our guests are posting on Instagram and TikTok about more than the Santorini and Vegas and Eiffel Tower examples. But they generally want a bit of column A and a bit of column B, classic and non-classic. So that's our challenge, is trying to go out and procure those more off the beaten track experiences. But I can give you an example or some examples of what we do at Contiki. Is we've created these things called make travel matter experiences. So they give back experiences that positively give back to people, planet, or wildlife. And we're trying to create and go out and source these experiences on every trip. Our parent company, we've set a goal of 50% of trips by 2025 will have at least one of these experiences. At Contiki, we're already at about 75-80% on our trips, so we're doing pretty well. A couple of examples of what these make travel matter experiences are, and give back to people, planet, wildlife. In Rio de Janeiro, for example, we used to go and kind of look at the favelas of Rio, kind of in a voyeuristic way from the outside with our Contiki tour guide. Now what we do, we flipped it. We now use a local who lives in the favelas, who is a guide. And that's what they do. That's how that's how they're now making money, is providing more immersive experiences of the favelas rather than going in as a voyeur, as I said, and looking in with some suspicion, or being viewed with some suspicion. And then another example I really like is in Berlin, a bit closer to me here in Europe. So we do a city walking tour, but the tour is given by Syrian refugees rather than a German. Now, perhaps arguably that's taken employment away from a born and raised German. But we think it's important to give a fresh perspective on Berlin, and you still get, as I said, the classics, you still get the classic sites, but you get the non-classic experience of someone who's moved to the city, who wasn't born there, and their experience, and we think that adds a lot. Plus, it gives employment to a broader range of people. So that's just some of the things we're doing at Contiki, and importantly, they're very shareable. Right, so for our demo, who are spending a lot of the time on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and whatever the latest social media platform is, they're really shareable, and they sell the product to their family and friends, and they start coming to us as well. So we do it for all the right reasons for planet and wildlife, but it also helps sell future trips.
Yeah, great stuff, Adam. And you're spot on about immersion. It not only benefits the paying passenger, but it often benefits the on the other side too, about the people who are taking around and using those local people, which is the best way to tell a story.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go on to Hans now. Hans, can you hear us? Hans, we still can't hear you. No. Okay. Hans is shaking his head. One more time, Hans, you can't hear us? No. Okay. Well, we're going to have to move on then. Why don't we move on to Rene? Rene, are you plugged in now? No, Rene, we still can't hear you, Rene. Well, by process of elimination, Craig, it looks like you're up.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, David?
Okay, yeah.
Excellent.
we got you, Craig. That's good news. So, look, we've got Craig now from one of the co-founders of Wego, and I presume you're in Singapore, Craig, are you?
Yeah, so both Ross and I are located in Singapore, and unfortunately Ross had to be called away to an urgent meeting, so I've stepped in. But I'm been working alongside Ross for 16 years, so we kind of think alike. So I'll represent him pretty well today. Yeah,
fantastic. Okay, well, great to have you here as well. Now, Craig, OTAs have taken a battering, just like all of us in the travel industry. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on how can we rebuild this sort of post-coronavirus OTA industry. What's the next steps for you guys as an OTA?
I'm just going to, I can hear some echo. Let me, can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Okay, so look, actually, to answer that question, David, probably, I mean, I've been around for 20 years in the online travel space, and the interesting thing about the OTAs is that they are the most resilient sector of the travel industry, mainly because they are asset light, they're diversified in terms of product, flights, hotels, different markets in terms of geographies. So those are the ones, the OTAs are the ones that kind of rebound first. And if you look at the listed stocks in the US, for the global players like Booking.com and Expedia, they're almost back to 2019 revenues. Their share price is sort of baked in a strong rebound for 2022. Even some of the local regional players like Make My Trip, Despegar in Latin America. So I think it's less of a case, rebuilding OTAs. I think OTAs have, and certainly during this pandemic, and if we look at Wego as a representation of an OTA, I think OTAs, because there are sort of technology companies at heart, a lot of them have used this time and tapping into what Adam mentioned, a crisis. You never wanted a crisis to go to waste. So a lot of the tech companies, have either repurposed new products, or they, downsize inefficiencies and focus on business segments that were doing well during the pandemic. So if I look at Wego, we really focused on the domestic travel in certain markets where we had, a strong base. So like, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, India, Indonesia. So we were able to kind of power through, COVID and maintain sort of a level of profitability. So I think the OTAs have rebounded. Unfortunately, like all sectors of the industry, we're all reliant on common sense between countries in terms of how they communicate, health and travel restrictions and the requirements in terms of biosecurity from one country to the next. And so all the sort of knee-jerk reactions that governments have had, and Omicron is a sort of a good lead-in example where, travel plans have been thrown into chaos. So the uncertainty is what's creating issues for the industry. We know for a fact that, our Wego users, there's pent-up demand. Whenever there was a travel lane that was announced, our mobile apps would light up and there was intent to book. So the market's there. The uncertainty, unfortunately, is still in the market, so people are confused. There's a bit of hesitation now in terms of whether people are going to sort of continue their trips over the Christmas period. But what we do know is that once there's a level of sensibility between governments, the OTAs will be back to normal, and 2022 will be as strong as 2019, probably stronger than 2019. So I think the OTA market's very resilient, and I think they will be sort of leading the charge in terms of the post-COVID recovery.
It's an interesting point you make there, Craig, about using common sense, and you referred to a few times about governments talking to each other. Yeah. Do you think we have then a responsibility too, as travel companies, as a travel industry, to also step in and maybe communicate?
Yeah, actually, that's a good segue into one of the points I wanted to raise. So one of the innovations that we made, and we haven't pioneered it. We localized it for our markets, but what we did from the get-go, we knew that we have about 40 million app users across the Middle East, and their engagement level with us was pretty strong during COVID, even though they weren't able to travel, but they were using us to kind of get a sense of where you could travel to. So we pivoted as part of our business to be a real-time travel advisory engine. So we created this platform. We licensed content from Sherpa, which is up to the minute information. We worked very closely with all the national tourism boards, the government bodies. We made sure that our editorial, we actually ramped up our editorial teams so that this travel advisory content was up to the minute. People could, travelers could rely on it. We then interspersed all the content, across all the touch points within our apps, to the point that it then became a point of difference. And so during COVID, like all travel brands, we cut all our brand marketing, so all our TV ads, all our outdoor billboards, all the above the line stuff, we cut. And then we went really deep into being a useful utility, trustworthy, bankable. And what we found was we built this level of trust. So we added sort of this trust factor to our brand, where before Wego is all about fun and inspiration and in the moment and emotion. And during COVID, it's less about emotion and inspiration. It's really about practicality and building that bridge between, confusion and safety and people's confidence. And so we used that as a point of difference. And we did a YouGov study during COVID, each quarter. And we had no marketing in the marketplace, yet our brand went up in terms of the panel reviews compared to our competitors in the region who stopped marketing and didn't communicate to the users. So, for us, being practical and useful kind of gave us an edge. And we also, by the way, ramped up our customer service teams as well. And we created real-time WhatsApp communication. So people had real-time questions. They were able to get a real-time response so that they were able to make a booking and have a real-time, assistant help them. So to answer your question, I think travel brands like Wego need to step in and provide some level of interpretation and aggregation in terms of what different governments are saying.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. We're talking about trust. That's what people are expecting, I think, from us as an industry. And I was just talking in the previous discussion, the previous panel, and we talked about that point that we have to be the professionals. People look at accountants and lawyers and want them to give them advice. It's up to us, I believe, as travel professionals to take the reins and be experts and share that information. Second question for you, Craig. We're just about travel habits and how trends have changed due to COVID. So with Wego, how are you trying to satisfy consumer expectations that are always changing constantly at the moment?
Yeah. So I think it's a continuation on that conversation as to how the governments have chopped and changed. International borders, being open, closed, travel lanes being open and closed. So our target market is still the Wego user. And we've spent most of our time interacting with our existing user base rather than going out and trying to get new users. So our existing user base. But our users, they're still wanting to travel, but whatever options they had was limited to the travel restrictions. So, we had to be very innovative in terms of rolling out a more unique hotel product for the staycations and long stays that people had in sort of like regional areas or sort of non-city locations, because people wanted to stay in their home country but wanted to have a different type of experience from their home city. So we launched, a product that could cater to a more domestic focused product. We also found that our travelers, especially when they were traveling internationally with one of the travel lanes, they wanted flexibility. They wanted to be able to cancel, not be penalized. So we then built a product that only surfaced fully cancelable airfares or hotel rooms. The other one was they wanted COVID insurance. So we rolled up an insurance product that we then added to our booking flows for our flights. So that, it actually forced us to roll out a fintech product, prior to COVID, we were going to do it. And then it then became fast tracked. So, that sort of was meeting a very important need, because people need COVID insurance as part of the requirements to enter another country. And so we now can facilitate that, for our users. So, thankfully thankfully as a company, we didn't let any of our teams go. Like, we kept all our staff during the peak of the crisis. And so we were able to kind of innovate pretty quickly to meet the demands of what users wanted. So COVID insurance became a real big seller for us.
That's a great idea, because I don't know how many times I've heard from clients, I don't know what to do about insurance. So What a great initiative from Wego to do that. So well done to you guys, Craig. Okay, let's move on to Rene, and let's see if we can get Rene for the third time. Rene, can you hear us? Oh, we can't hear you.
Okay, good. So
there we go. We've got you now, Rene.
You got?
Okay, so we can hear you now. So Rene's the CEO. Yeah, we've got you. So Rene is the CEO of Rough Guides, and are you based in London, Rene? Is that right?
No, I am in Switzerland.
You're in Switzerland.
I'm living in Switzerland. I used to be based in London, but things have changed since March 20.
Okay, fantastic.
Quite a bit, yes.
All right, good place to be. You can have a drink with Adam later on. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions for you, Rene. So we're talking about trends and the trends that have changed during the pandemic for travellers. So there's things like local experiences are now top of mind. There's renewed interest in trips like culinary experiences and sustainable travel. Do you think that post-COVID, that those trends will still be top of mind for your travellers and your readers? Or do you think these trends will just slowly fade away and things will go back to how they were before?
No, nothing is going back how it was before. COVID is a game changer. And COVID itself is not going away. And what it did to all of us, it has lots of consequences for everybody. But if we are looking always at the consumer and their perspective, and in November we just made the research among our Rough Guides community, and we find quite some really astonishing results. Right, 57% say they want to travel more sustainable. Quite not a surprise. 30% say they most likely plan to spend more money on travel than they spent pre-pandemic. 50% say the pandemic has changed the way they feel about travel, right? So if 50% of the people thinks that things have changed, then they are not going away, right? Changes are coming, and they're coming rough for the travel industry, I'd say.
That's some great numbers there. Well, why do you think that number about more spend, where do you think that comes from? Why do they want to spend more money?
I think that's quite easy to explain because we in the travel industry, we all lost money. I lost almost everything, right? Many people had to make cuts. We had 63 people in February 2020. Today we are like 25 people. So we are hurt, and we think, oh my God, the world is terrible. It's falling down. But this is not the rest of the world, right? What we are, and for example, events or restaurants, clubs, and stuff like that, people like that, They are hurt most by the pandemic. But if you look at the big picture, 70%, 75% of all people haven't been hurt financially by COVID. Even more, right? Lockdown, you can't go out, you can't go on holiday, you can't spend money for food, you can't go to the cinema. People have saved money. It's as simple as that, right? I know the numbers from Switzerland. The savings rate shot up about 10% during 2020, right? So, and that means about 50 billion Swiss francs that went to the savings accounts on top, right? So people have money, and that's why they want to spend more money. But it's not only that they want to spend more money, they have higher and different expectations than before COVID. I think that is the critical. There's money, but there's also different expectations.
Yeah, I've certainly noticed that with my business, Arcadia, we certainly noticed that the price is not one of the major factors anymore. People have got that money. I target the high end of the market. Those rich people will always stay rich, but they're actually richer now because of the savings, and their property values have increased, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Rene, the second question for you is about technology, which the industry is talking about a lot right now. What for you is the biggest technology trends for the tourism sector as a whole? Is it accommodation, technology, apps, ticketing? What's it about for you?
For me, well, I'm not going to make friends here, but I'm beyond that age. I think technology is adding complexity for the user at the moment. I still haven't seen the tech company that is delivering a product that puts the user at the center of everything, right? If you look at it from a user perspective, complexity is what it is, right? Planning and booking a vacation is just a hell of, it's painful. It takes a lot of time and it's painful, right? So I think if I was a tech company, and we're on the way getting there, but not in this direction, I'd put more the user at the center, not the old IT system, not the infrastructure that's been around for 20, 30, 40 years, and developing the product from the inventory, right? Most travel OTAs or travel companies, they think only about their product. This is the tours, this is the groups we want to sell, this is the flights and the hotels we have. No, this is wrong. You got to think about the user, what the user wants, and this is going to be a massive, massive change, I'm pretty sure, in the next couple of years.
Well, I've got to give Craig the right of reply to that. So, Craig, what are your thoughts on what Rene was saying about having the user at the center of everything for technology?
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with Rene, and I think that our product managers always have a user-centric view of our users. I do agree that certainly during this uncertain times, and if you have a somewhat complicated itinerary where you perhaps going through different countries, you might want to use a traditional travel agent. I think the users that use Wego and other online travel sites, typically use us for point-to-point airfares or flights in a hotel, but they don't necessarily use us for interlined flights and connections. So I think the online travel space, there's still a lot to be developed to take the uncertainty away when it's a complex itinerary. And I think there's room for traditional travel agents, and that certainly traditional travel agencies won't go away. But I definitely believe that travel brands, and certainly like Wego, we're at the forefront with personalization, making sure we're delivering a product that is designed for our users. And we know that from our user retention. So, probably about 40% of our users come back each month. So we're obviously getting something right. But I guess we're targeting a certain type of user that's pretty self-sufficient, pretty independent.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Craig. Adam, I'd love to get your thoughts on this technology issue too. And it'd be great to hear you also speak about technology for Contiki. I mean, your audience is so familiar with technology, and we'd love to hear about how you reach your audience through technology, as well as Rene's points too.
Yeah, look, technology is a challenge for us because, as Craig said, you know, we're a complicated product. We're not a point-to-point product. You know, we're including our packages include air, hotels, transport, food, accommodation, and so on. And so, unfortunately, our booking engine is driven by our reservation system, not by our consumer. So the limitations of our reservations system, which, you know, was built 30 years ago and has had various bits and pieces added onto it over the years, drives the booking experience when an 80 to 35-year-old comes to our website and decides to make a booking. What I would say is that we've made some advancements in you know, even in the recent couple of months. We introduced a more express checkout to our experience. So rather than going through the laborious process of filling in all of your details, we just take in some just the most pertinent, most necessary details to make it a much shorter experience. And that has been revolutionary for us, to be pretty honest. You know, the last couple of weeks through our cyber sale, our conversion rate has almost tripled. And I think largely due to having the express checkout, we just made it a more streamlined experience for our guests to make the booking. And yeah, they're digital natives, our travellers, that they live online. And if it gets laborious, if it's not laid out well, if it takes a lot of time, they just switch off. So the express checkout thing for us has been pretty good. And we're going to have to keep coming up with stuff like that, with improvements, with streamlining, because or not, our distribution is moving more towards the direct space than the travel agent space. I'm hopeful that travel agents will come back and they'll be the majority of our business next year, but I'm not convinced yet when that will happen.
Yeah, that's almost a separate topic, isn't it? About travel agents and the relevance in the new world, I guess. I guess a bit of an open question for the panelists, because we're here to talk about how we reach our travellers. Rene, with you and your community at Rough Guides, I mean, have you adapted how you're trying to get new people to visit your site or people to purchase your travel guides?
Well, of course, I mean, this is constant work, right? We're updating content all the time. That's the basic of what we do, right? Updating the content, making sure that everything is accurate. So that's why people come to us, right? They're looking for reliable information, and they're looking to plan and book complex trips that the current OTAs cannot do in a way we can do it, right? So we're not only publishing books, we're also selling vacations, and we're selling complex vacations. Because I think that the challenge that Craig has fixed is companies like Wego are doing a very, very good job, right? They're selling you tickets, they're selling you hotels and everything. But why is still 50 or something percent of the people still going to brick and mortar stores? Why? It's a simple question. Because tech doesn't fulfill their needs, right? People go to the brick and mortar because it's too complex to book a trip to Vietnam with the family visiting 3-4 destinations. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it on your own. Everybody can do it. Yeah, but you're going to spend hours and hours for research, planning, and booking. And at a certain point, people say, "But I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to the guy over the corner there," right? So I think this is why there are still travel agents around, and I'm not sure they're going to be around for the way they are now. I'm not sure they're going to stay around for infinity. Yeah, I think sooner or later somebody is going to tackle the challenge and find a way to help users planning and booking more complex trips. So that's how we attract more people, more accurate, updated content, publishing new books, having a stronger focus this year and next year on UK and US domestic travel, because people have money, they want to have change needs. So there's a strong demand for US and UK domestic travel, which are our core markets for both our products, right? And offering a better and better service. And by better service for booking travel, we see a direct correlation between booking value and quality of service. Yeah, the better our service gets in online, the higher the booking value. We started selling vacations online in 2016. We had an average booking value of $4,000. In 2018, it was $6,200 average booking. In 2020, 21, very low volumes, of course, but it's $8,500 US, right? So this is not only the market changing, but this is mostly what we do in our product to offer a better service. So the thing I'm putting here is the better your online product is, and the better you serve the clients, the users' problem with complexity and time, the higher the booking value. The bigger the business, the bigger the profits, the bigger the share price, the bigger the bonuses, everything. It's all about the user and complexity that you have to cut out.
Thanks, Rene. Look, I agree with you. I think technology doesn't work for absolutely everybody. Certainly with my company, Arcadia, technology doesn't assist us a lot. People aren't going to book a big $30,000 trip just by clicking book here. That's not how a smaller company like us works. So that technology maybe will catch up one day, but for now, a company like mine still relies on travel agents and dealing directly with clients over a period of time instead of just a book now button. So certainly your points are very valid. Craig, and over to you. In terms of, you said you had 40 million users, which I'm astounded by. That's bigger than most countries. How are you going about now, and your, I guess, post-pandemic plans on, how do you grow that even further to what you've got?
Yeah, so in terms of with that 40 million, so that's mainly app installs. So users across our main markets are Middle East, India, Southeast Asia. But our epicenter is across the Middle East region. So during COVID, our main aim was to get our existing user base to use us, as in increase the usage of the apps with our existing 40 million users. And so there's really good ways that you can engage through push notifications, gamification, being useful in terms of the content. So our travel advisory actually launched through our mobile app. So it became a tool within our apps. Then what we did in terms of growing new markets was we became very granular in terms of our marketing. So there was no point doing sort of marketing when people couldn't travel. So what we did was we worked with all the tourism boards. We knew ahead of time when travel lanes were opening up. And as travel lanes were being announced, we would then send push notifications to our users that had shown an interest previously. For example, we have a lot of Egyptian expats living in Kuwait. As soon as the borders opened up between Kuwait and Egypt, we sort of promoted that sort of flight route with our users from both countries. And then we did a lot of app marketing. We did a lot of sort of performance marketing, but very targeted, so that we could, be useful. People want to download the app because they can actually use it. So we found that we were very granular in terms of our performance marketing. Going back to the travel advisory platform, the way we pushed that was creating a sort of a content marketing team. So we have quite a big team in Cairo in terms of a marketing function. And so they became a content marketing team pushing out the headlines for our travel advisory across all the news networks. Our MD in Dubai became like a talking head across all the CNBCs, NBC, all the news channels across the Gulf region. And we became the go-to company for any information around what travelers are doing around different travel lanes. So that was the way we kind of got new users, where they saw us in the news and in the media, and sort of our content being syndicated across other travel information portals. And so that was a way for us to be relevant, but to grow a new audience based around our travel advisory kind of positioning.
Yeah, there's probably no better PR, is there, than being seen as an expert in your field. It's probably the best type of marketing that we can all have. So yeah, I mean, what a great way to do it, of reaching people through the news channels and being cast as an expert in different areas. That's great. Now, guys, we've probably got about 10 minutes to go, so I'd just like to finish with one question. And Adam, I'd like to start with you. There's a lot of talk, especially I guess with your market, about Instagrammable experiences and how that may drive brand loyalty. I'm sure you've got a very big product team there at Contiki, and you've talked about how you create a lot of new experiences during this downtime. But how are you finding that relating to brand loyalty? I mean, you mentioned about taking photos in the Eiffel Tower but still going to remote places. What are you doing from a product standpoint to create those really Instagrammable, amazing experiences that drive people back to your brand?
I'd say that Instagram drives more new people to our brand than bringing people back. Once they're in because it's a great product and so on. So we just keep developing product, coming up with new product that is a fundamentally good product that, as a side product, is Instagrammable or TikTokable or Facebookable or whatever it is. And as I said earlier, every year there's a couple of new social media platforms that come out, and the challenge for us is keeping ahead of that and working out how we as a travel company can latch onto those new platforms, which is another discussion in itself. But as coming back to Instagram, we really just focus on trying to give everyone an amazing trip, and the Instagrammable moments come naturally, hopefully, in the majority of cases. Although sometimes, our trip manager, our tour guide will discreetly point people in the right direction to create the right shots, the right poses. The distinction, I think, for us as a brand is that we use Instagram material, user-generated content, UGC, that our travelers produce in our marketing materials, and it can vary. Between a quarter to a third of our photography is user-generated, and that's generally from Instagram. So on our website, in our brochures, on social media, we use material that our passengers, our travelers have created with their permission. They have to hashtag us, and therefore we can use it. But yeah, about a third of our image library is real experiences, and it varies. It's a continuum of style of photography. You've got, and I'm generalizing, but at one scale you've got our millennial groups, so our older passengers. It's a bit more stylized, a bit more filtered, a bit more posed. And then our Gen Z guests, our younger guests, it's just more raw, unposed. It's just kind of snap it as you go. So we've got quite a range, and we're trying to cater for both of those guests, because it's quite a broad age group. But we got all this material that sells the product for us and brings new people in to the brand, and that's our successful strategy. And we've got to work out how we do that with TikTok. We're grappling with that, and whatever else comes next after TikTok.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about the styles of photography, Adam. When I first started off in travel 20 years ago, a lot of it was all sort of stock libraries, and you go to the stock libraries and buy beautiful, perfect images. All the website gurus now tell you that's exactly what you shouldn't do for your website and for your brochures. You should have a lot more of that authentic photos that a user can see that wasn't bought, that it was maybe taken by one of your passengers. So that seems to be a really big trend.
Yeah, and also a diversity of people in the images as well. So for us, certainly the days of having white, thin, well-dressed, beautiful people in the images, that just doesn't work anymore, because that's not who our passengers are, and I prefer to say never were in the first place. So absolutely, it's just as much as getting those unusual angles and filters and crazy stuff in there as well.
Yeah. And Rene, what do you make of this, with this whole idea of Instagrammable experiences? How does the rough guides community respond to that, and does it help build your brand? You've gone on mute again.
It's the host.
Oh, there we go.
Me? No, my mic is muted. Okay.
We can hear you, Rene.
Okay. Well, I think our target group is not 1835. That's the way it is. Yeah. We have a target group 40 plus, right? So needs are completely different. People we serve, they have different needs. It's not about the Instagram shot or the TikTok. You can say they're old guys, but this is where we think the money is, right? We are serving these people since many years, and the young people get older too. And at a certain moment in life, things change, and that's usually when time is more important than money, right? And then they become our clients. So for us, it's not about going after every Instagram shoot or anything like that. I think for us, the most important is always it's the product, it's the user at the center, because the best marketing is a great product. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, great, Rene. We're going to wrap it up soon, but Craig, just over to you for the last word on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So
brand loyalty.
So Wego's market and our demographic is probably around 30 and younger, because we focus on the emerging markets, which typically are geared towards the younger generation. So TikTok, Instagram, really important for us, especially in emerging markets where media is typically controlled. So people find their niche on YouTube, Instagram, and all the other social media channels. So it's a really important part of how we connect with our users. We do a lot of influencer marketing. So one of the great impacts in Middle East for marketing is influencer marketing actually works, because these influencers have really big engaged user bases, and it works. The other thing for us, we work a lot with the tourism board. So we work with Saudi Tourism, Dubai Tourism, Visit Britain, and they all have a remit to inspire and engage. So we use social media channels like Instagram to I guess publish a lot of that content. We then repurpose it through our influencer network. So Instagram is really important as a marketing, distribution, communication platform, not only for Wego, but also our National Tourism Board partners as well. So we have like a co-marketing platform with Wego.
Great, guys. Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen. We've got to wrap it up now. So, look, I really enjoyed the chat with you all. So, big thanks to Craig and Adam and Rene for sharing your thoughts. And good luck to all of you in 2022. I hope it's a better year for all of us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Rene.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks
you very much. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And thank you, gentlemen. It's been delightful speaking to you, listening to you, rather. And sorry for the technical difficulties. I think we all work on different bandwidths, different systems, different microphones. The pleasure of being diverse. Thank you very much. And we will go straight into our next panel. Thank you, David, for the great moderation, by the way. Very, very interesting. In regards to Sydney.